Welcome back, my fellow patriots, to the Save Our Republic daily video series. Today we're going to be jumping into seems like a simple question. Are we the people in charge? Now, to really get a grasp of this, I think we need to acknowledge that the Declaration of Independence has a very critical sentence. All the sentences of the Declaration are critical, but this one begins with, "We hold these truths." And that's in 1776, obviously. And so there's this reference to the we. So who's the we? The we is the people. And if you go to the Constitution, several years later, it begins with we the people. This idea that the people are in charge and govern the society through, as I referred to before, the social compact, was a definite revolutionary idea at the time of the Declaration of Independence and at the time of the Constitution. No country in the course of human history before then had developed a social compact with the people as its foundation. Now, people could argue about the Greeks and they had a democracy, but first off, they didn't have a written document. Secondly, they didn't last very long. And they didn't see it in the way that we see it as a social compact, where the people had voluntarily gathered together to create a government in exchange for government by consent, and that the government would provide certain protections to your unalienable rights and provide certain services to make sure, duties really, and responsibilities to make sure that the polity was protected. But be that as it may, we could have a long esoteric discussion about that. It's my belief that America is unique in the course of human history because of its foundational belief that the people are its foundation. Which leads us to the second question. Are we in charge? And cynics would say, no, we're not. There's big corporations with lots of money. There's special interest groups that conspire behind our backs. That there are wealthy individuals who usurp the role of the people and buy off votes and buy the policies they want. And this criticism is both from the left and the right. Think about Bernie Sanders and what he has said recently about the people and what's been happening in connection with governance. And think about people like Donald Trump, who've come in a from populism standpoint, denigrating elites and conspiracies and those kinds of perspectives. So this is and think of just kind of middle of the road people that might want campaign finance reform or want to be able to control advertising in connection with elections, etc. They all are unified by this idea that there are forces greater than the people that are in control. Now, I believe that those forces, if they exist, and undoubtedly some of them exist, do so only because the people have relinquished their responsibilities and have stopped being accountable for their own lives. That mega corporations and wealthy individuals and special interest groups get what they get because we have delegated to those in Congress or in the presidency or in our courts the power to allow those special interests to control what's going on. And that the people, in one election in Congress, in a second election every 2 years, in a second election in the presidency, can have, I'm talking federal now, but also obviously in the states, can have a monumental impact on what happens in Washington, D.C. and in state governments. And we've seen what we call these wave elections. And I suppose the cynics would say, well, the wave elections were controlled by those puppet masters who are pulling our strings. But I think the evidence is pretty strong that people were just really upset, went out to the polls and made a difference. And marches and protests and petitions and phone calls and social media and all those kinds of different ways that we can be involved do make a difference. So we are in charge. To the extent that we're not in charge, It's fallen on us. We are a republic. Our destiny is controlled by us. And if you're someone that's sitting on the back bench, whining and complaining and not being involved, you don't have anyone better to complain about than yourself. The future of the country is in your hands. Until next time, don't forget about America's Survival Guide at americasurvivalguide.com, Patriot Week at patriotweek.org, and the Patriot Lessons American History and Civics podcast. God bless you, and God bless America.